rise, please. Shoes off, for your arm.
The state calls Ray Hermosillo. Thank you. Can you state your name and for the record and then spell your last name?
Ray Hermosillo, Hermosillo.
Thank you. What is your occupation?
I'm a detective with the Rexburg Police Department.
Is detective your rank?
It is.
Okay. Are you post certified?
I am. I have 22 years in law enforcement and 2,100 hours of training through post, and currently hold an advanced certificate through the Post Academy.
Okay. How long have you been a detective?
Oh, 4 years now.
Okay. And what other responsibilities have you held before you were a detective?
I was a patrolman and a patrol supervisor.
Okay. Have you worked for any law enforcement agency other than the Rexburg Police Department?
No, sir.
Okay. And you may have said this already, I apologize. How long have you been with the Rexburg Police Department?
22 years.
Okay. Have you been involved in the investigation regarding J.J. Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and Tammy Daybell?
I have.
Okay. How did you become involved in that investigation?
On November 1st, I was contacted initially by Fremont County. I was advised that there was a Jeep in our jurisdiction that was possibly involved in a attempted homicide. And at that time, I contacted Gilbert Police to inquire what they needed us to do in reference to that.
Okay. And what did you do in response to your conversation with Gilbert Police?
Once I obtained some information from Gilbert, they asked us to seize the Jeep if we had located it. They also asked us to perform intermittent surveillance on the residence. And so at that time, that's exactly what we did. We performed intermittent surveillance until we located the Jeep.
Okay. Can you describe what you saw during your intermittent surveillance?
We had taken some photographs of Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow walking into the residence, but we were unable to locate the Jeep at that time.
When you say residence, where are you referring to?
565 Pioneer, number 175.
During your surveillance, did you ever see a teenage girl with Lori Vallow?
No, we did not.
During your surveillance, did you ever see a young boy with Lori Vallow?
No, we did not.
Okay. At the time you were doing the surveillance, were you aware of who J.J. Vallow was?
Not at the time during the surveillance, no.
Okay. Were you aware of who Tylee Ryan was?
No.
So is it fair to say, at that time, you weren't looking for children?
That's correct.
Okay. Detective, when was the first time you heard of J.J. Vallow?
Gilbert police came down to Rexburg. Let me back up. We were able to seize the Jeep on November 4th from that residence. At that time, Gilbert police was advised, and they came up to Rexburg on November 18th, 2019. At that time, they came up to serve a warrant on the infotainment center inside of that Jeep for GPS locations and things like that. When they came up, that's the first time we heard of Tylee Ryan or J.J. Vallow, so November 18th, 2019.
Okay. And at that time, were you told that they were missing?
We weren't told they were missing. We were told that their grandmother, Kay Woodcock, was concerned that she hadn't spoken with JJ for a while. And they just asked us to keep an eye out at the residence. They said they were going to do some checking down in Arizona to see if JJ was possibly with friends down there. And if they needed us further, they would get with us at a later date.
Okay. Did they get with you at a later date?
They did.
When was that?
November 25th, 2019, I received a call from Detective Ryan Pillar. Ryan advised that they were unable to locate JJ in Arizona and that he was in contact with JJ's grandma and she wanted a welfare check. So at that point, we told Detective Pillar we would do a welfare check the next morning.
Okay. And you said that was November 25th, correct?
Correct.
So what did you do in response to that request from Detective Pillar?
The next morning, November 26th, 2019, myself and Detective Dave Hope went to 565 Pioneer, 175, which was Lori Vallow's residence. As we pulled up behind the residence, there's a garage area on the west side. Outside the garage area, we had located Alex Cox and Chad Daybell, who were unloading a pickup truck.
Okay. Did you speak with Alex Cox or Chad Daybell that day?
We did.
How did that conversation go?
I walked up to Alex, and I asked Alex if Lori was home. He told me she wasn't home. I then asked Alex if he knew where JJ was at. We were there to do a welfare check on JJ. At that point, Alex got a blank look on his face, kind of a frightened look, looked over at Chad Daybell, who was on the other side of the pickup truck. Chad then looked at Alex, and they both kind of just looked at each other and didn't answer my question initially.
Okay. What did you think about that conduct?
It raised some red flags just based on the way they acted with that question. I then again asked Alex if he knew where JJ was at, and he stated that JJ was with Kay in Louisiana.
What did you think of that response?
I told Alex that wasn't likely because Kay was the one who called in for the welfare check. And then again, they both kind of just looked at each other, which again raised our suspicions.
Okay. Did you speak with Chad Daybell at that time?
I personally didn't speak to Chad at that time, no.
Okay. What did you do next?
I asked Alex if there was a way I can get a hold of Lori. He stated she wasn't home. I asked Alex where I could find Lori, and he stated that she was in apartment 107 in the same complex, just a different apartment. That time I asked Alex if he had Lori's phone number, and he stated he didn't have it.
What did you think when he stated he didn't have her phone number?
I assumed he was lying because they were close, and based on our investigation thus far with Gilbert, we knew they were close. So I assumed he was lying to me about the not having his sister's phone number.
Okay. What did you do next?
At that time, myself and Detective Dave Hope went back to apartment 107 in hopes to make contact with Lori. We knocked on the door at 107, and there was no answer.
Okay, so you weren't able to make contact with anyone there?
Correct.
Okay. What happened after that?
Once we weren't able to make contact, Detective Hope began knocking on apartment doors next to 107. I started walking back to my car because I was going to call for more people to come to our location, start knocking on doors. And at that time, when I was walking back to my car, I saw Chad Daybell driving towards me in his black Chevy Equinox. So he had just left 175 and was headed our direction. And at that time, I stopped him in the alleyway.
And did you speak with him?
I did.
What did you ask him?
I asked Chad when was the last time he saw JJ. And Chad told me it was in October in apartment 107 with Lori Vallow.
Okay. Did you ask him anything else?
I did. I asked him how he knew Lori Vallow, and he stated that he hardly knew her, that he had only met her a couple of times.
Okay. What did you think about that response?
Jackson, cause for speculation, Judge.
Okay. Was there anything suspicious to you about that response?
There was.
What was that?
We knew that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell had been married 2 weeks prior to my contact with him.
Okay. But he said he hardly knew her.
That's correct.
Okay. Did you ask Chad Daybell anything else?
I did. I asked Chad for her phone number, and he stated that he didn't know what it was.
Okay. What happened after that?
While I was speaking with Chad Daybell, Detective Hope saw me talking with him, stopped knocking on doors, and started back to where I was talking with him. As Detective Hope showed up, I again asked Chad Daybell for Lori's phone number because I didn't believe that he did not know it. And at that time, he finally gave me Lori's phone number.